So I wasn't planning to get excited about two new cutting machines, but when I opened these up, I started wondering something you might be thinking too. Are these actually better or are they just newer? So today I'm checking out the new Cricut Joy 2 and the Cricut Explore 5 cutting machines to decide if they are worth getting. So before anyone spends $1, I'm going to answer 3 things in this video for you. What's truly different, including something that they changed with the blades and the scoring system, which is important to know. Who are these really for? And how easy is it to make things that we actually want using only what comes in the box? We don't have to run out and get more stuff, right? Because honestly, not everyone needs to upgrade. So I'm going to walk through the real changes that I have observed here with these 2 machines. We're going to make a few simple everyday projects using them so we can put them through their paces. And I will tell you plainly whether I think these are worth it or not. And before we go any further, full disclosure, Cricut sent me these 2 machines early so I could review them for you. But I do not keep free products or do any kind of sponsored content of any kind. So I'll be giving both of these machines away. I will explain how that works at the end of the video. I've been using Cricut machines for years now, through multiple generations. So I have seen what really changes and what doesn't. And if you're new here, I'm Jennifer Maker, and I've taught millions of awesome people how to use Cricut machines. Now, if you're not quite sure what machines like this really do, we just explain it real quick. These are electronic cutting machines. You design something on your computer or your mobile device, and the machine precisely cuts it out of materials like vinyl, cardstock, iron-on, that sort of thing. It can also write, draw, and foil. So instead of hand cutting letters or shapes, the machine does it for you quickly and precisely. And that is what makes projects cleaner, faster, and more customizable. But what's different about these new ones? So here's the big picture. The Joy 2 is Cricut's compact machine, as you can see here. It's smaller, lighter, and designed for things like quick labels, stickers, cards, and smaller everyday projects. The Explore 5 is a full-size 12-inch machine. It is built for larger cuts, batched projects, and working with full sheets of material. Now, these 2 machines are not replacing every Cricut machine. There's other ones like the Maker and the Venture. These sit in 2 size categories, the compact and the full size. So the real question here isn't, are they good? We know that these are good machines. It's, do they make sense for you? And that's where I think most people make the wrong decision, right? There's a lot of choices, especially these days, so I get it. It's okay. So here's what stood out to me right away. Now, some of these changes are meaningful and some are aesthetic. So let me separate what matters from what doesn't. First, they're more compact than the previous generation of their, the previous Joy and the previous Explore. About 30% smaller, in fact. So if you craft on a kitchen table or move your machine around, that matters. If your machine lives permanently in a craft space, maybe it doesn't matter so much. I actually like it being smaller because real estate room on my desk is always a big deal. Second, Cricut has clearly tried to simplify the what do I need to buy confusion. There is way more usable material in the box than with previous machines. Enough to make like dozens of projects depending on which bundle you get. And the pen system has been streamlined, so compatibility is less of a guessing game. This matters most if you're brand new and don't want to make 3 extra purchases before you can start. But it's also useful for those who have drawers full of supplies but aren't sure which machines they're actually compatible with. You know what I mean? All right, so third, the Cricut Joy 2 can now do print then cut. Big deal. Which means that you can print full color designs on your home printer and have the machine cut them out perfectly around them or whatever you tell it to do. That was not possible on the original Joy. So this matters if you like making stickers, gift tags, labels with color, anything printed like that. If you only ever cut solid vinyl or cardstock, this won't change what you do, right? So keep that in mind. The Joy 2 also now supports scoring, which is where you make an indentation in your paper so you can fold it, right? And that opens up more structured paper projects in a way the earlier version didn't. That is a meaningful upgrade if you enjoy paper crafts like I do, card making, or dimensional projects. If you rarely work with paper, it probably doesn't matter to you. But it is a pretty awesome thing for such a compact machine. It can pretty much now do all the things that the Explore can do, just in a smaller size and a few less materials. Now the Explore 5 continues in the full-size category with refinements in the included materials, right? So there's more stuff included than there was before, but it is still fundamentally a 12-inch cutting machine. If you regularly cut full sheets of vinyl or make larger projects, this remains the right size category. Many of my paper crafts use this size machine. If most of what you make is small labels or tags, the Compact Joy may make more sense. It just kind of depends. Fourth, they're both redesigned with, as you can see, a new look, a modern look. Now that's aesthetic, it doesn't affect performance, but if your machine sits out in your home and appearance matters to you, this might be part of your decision. What do you think of the design, by the way? I'm curious, let me know. And fifth, these new machines, as it turns out, aren't going to cost any more than the current machines. In fact, these machines are launching at prices lower than previous generations of machines were when they launched. But these machines have more tools and materials in the box. So that matters if you're buying your first machine or you've been waiting for pricing to come down. If you already own a recent model that works well for you, lower pricing alone isn't a reason to upgrade. If you're happy with what you have, stick with it. Now, whether these things matter depends entirely on what you want to make. So let's talk about that. The number one thing that I think matters to most people usually isn't what are the specs, what are all the features? It's, can I actually make something useful right away, right? So what do they come with? And the biggest surprise for me wasn't actually the machine, though I admit I was surprised when I first saw it. It was what was packed inside the box. Now I have the Essentials bundle of both the Joy 2 and the Explore 5, just so you know as we talk about it. The machines actually come in 6 different bundles, and the Essentials bundle is somewhere in the middle to lower middle of the offerings, right? So it's not the base model, it's not the Ultimate Deluxe model, right, either. So with both machines and all the bundles, you get the machine itself, of course, with the blade already installed. As you can see right here, the blade's installed, right? The power cable, the USB cable for the Explorer. There's no USB cable for the Joy. The usual setup cards and warranty info and all that. There's also a cutting mat, and there is a pen, which is dual tipped. More on the pens later. There's also a scoring tool included for both machines. More on that later as well. But more importantly, Cricut now includes a larger usable assortment of smart vinyl, smart iron-on, and value cardstock in all of the bundles, enough to make several actual projects right away. Some of the bundles, including the one that I got, also have printable vinyl and insert cards included as well, which is really fun actually. And that's different from older machines where you maybe got 2 tiny pieces of cardstock and a wee piece of vinyl and that's it. And this is the part that I didn't expect. They included the actual tools that you normally have to buy separately. So in my Essentials bundle, they put in a weeding tool for vinyl, a scraper tool and a spatula for cardstock, a flexible ruler for measuring things, and a full-size trimmer for cutting material to size it cleanly, which was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. I may be most impressed by this. I love that so much is included, so we can start without extra trips to the craft store to get stuff or worrying about what is compatible with the machine, right? It's always a little bit confusing, right? I'll just be honest with that. So the features sound good on paper, but they really only matter if they make real projects easier. So let's test that. Now, no matter which machine you choose, they both run on Cricut Design Space. That's the free software where you create or customize your designs. And the reason that matters is because it's what makes these machines accessible. You do not have to be a graphic designer to use them. You can start with a simple word, adjust the size, choose your material, and send it to be cut. That's simple, right? For most people, the barrier isn't the machine, it's wondering, can I actually figure this out? So instead of running speed tests and doing a bunch of granted fun stuff like that, instead, I just opened up Cricut Design Space, pulled in a few simple designs that I made just to play with the machines today, and used only what came in the box to make some things I'd actually use in my kitchen. So I've been having fun with sourdough bread making lately. So today I'm going to make some pantry labels, a sourdough starter jar, a linen cover for the, well, it's not linen, a cotton cover for the jar, and a simple gift tag. Oh, and a cute card to go with it all. And I think I can do it with all the things that were included in my box, which is pretty cool, really. So let's start with the material I think most people associate with a Cricut, and that's adhesive vinyl. Vinyl like this is what most people use to personalize smooth surfaces. So I'm going to use it to label some jars for my flour and salt in a style that matches my vintage kitchen. So we just feed the vinyl in. Note that no mat is needed when you're using Cricut Smart Vinyl, which is what's included in the box. And if you're familiar with the previous versions of the Cricut Explore, you'll see that the buttons are different too. And as soon as I load the mat, it starts cutting. There is no longer any need to press the start button, which I like that. And when it's done, you just press unload here, and then you weed out the parts that you don't want with a weeding tool. They also included transfer tape. So I applied that, and then I put the vinyl on my jars. I love this. This is everyday use. If this is 90% of what you think you might make, either machine handles it easily. The biggest difference is that the Explorer can make bigger projects than the Joy. All right, but you could have made either of these size ones on your Joy. All right, now let's try the iron-on vinyl, which lets you personalize fabric and other flexible surfaces. I'm going to cut out a little saying for the top of my sourdough starter jar. Feed me and love me. So this time I'll use the Joy 2. So again, we just feed the included smart iron-on vinyl sheet into the machine, and just like with the Explorer 5, it starts cutting as soon as it's loaded. Then we unload it and weed away the excess vinyl. And no transfer tape is needed with iron-on vinyl, so I'm just going to put it onto a scrap of fabric I have and press it for 30 seconds. You can use a home iron or Cricut's Easy Press if you get like the bigger bundles that actually includes a mini Easy Press in it. I'm using the Cricut Easy Press SE, however, right now. So for small fabric projects like this, the compact size of the Joy actually makes a lot of sense. But this works fine on the Explorer as well. And this cut like a charm, no issues, super easy. They also include a bunch of basic cardstock in the box, which I'm going to use to make a sourdough starter instruction tag. Now, I could use the pen that they included to draw a design, but I'm just going to print on it instead with my inkjet printer, which I can do because the cardstock that they included in the box is letter size, which is really helpful. Then I use the print then cut feature to get these cute heart shapes, which I can just tie to my jar. This also turned out great the first time I tried it. I love it. I love this. This is really cute. If you get the essentials or bigger bundles, you will see that they also come with printable vinyl in the box, which is perfect for things like stickers and labels. So I'm going to use a sheet of mine to make a label for my jar of sourdough starter. I just print my design on my home printer through Design Space, and then the machine cuts perfectly around it. I use the Joy 2 to make this since it's so exciting to be able to do print then cut finally on the Joy now. And because the Joy 2 is smaller than like the bigger size ones, right? You are guided to trim the printed sheet in half before cutting, and it handled it perfectly. I thought this was actually pretty ingenious. So if you like making stickers, pantry labels, gift tags, whatever, this is where the Joy 2 upgrade really shows up. Isn't it cute? I love these. And finally, they included 2 insert cards in my essentials bundle. Insert cards are pre-cut cards that you can insert together to make simple, fast cards. And there was also a card mat in my boxes as well for both the Joy 2 and the Explore 5. They both had a card mat. So I wanted to make a cute card to tie all of these things together. And the way it works is you slide the included card into the card mat like this, insert it into your machine, and follow the directions on the screen in Cricut Design Space. I used my pen, but then I didn't correctly follow the directions on screen to remove my pen before it started cutting. Oops. So I tried again. Always important not to give up, right? And it was a little better, but still a little bit off center. I tried it again. This time I used the Joy so I could see what it was like. And I did a better job, I think. The card turned out really cute. I love these. All right, so now let's talk about the pen, because I mentioned earlier that Cricut has streamlined them. So Cricut redesigned their pens and markers so compatibility is simpler across machines. If you've ever stood in the craft aisle and wondered, will this fit in my machine? Or worse yet, gotten the wrong size pens and markers, this is clearly meant to reduce that confusion. The new pen packs now include an adapter when needed, so you're less likely to buy the wrong thing. This matters most if you use pens regularly, like for cards, tags, labels, or drawing details. If you rarely use the writing feature, this probably won't change much for you. Also, the one they included in the box is dual tipped. So you don't have to buy 2 different sizes, and they also sell full sets that are dual tipped. So you get both thick and thin. And I think that's a very, very good change. But if you have existing pens for the original Joy, good news, they will continue to work in the Joy 2. So yay. So this is all just an idea of what you could make using only what's in the box. And there's a bunch of material left, so I could just keep going to or make other projects. I really, really do like that. And as always, I'm sharing all of my designs freely, and they're new. If you haven't seen them before, they're brand new. You can download them free at jennifermaker.com/811. I'll put the link in the description as well, so you don't have to remember that. Now, I want to mention one more thing. Cricut updated the blade housing and the scoring tool system with these new machines. The goal seems to be simplifying compatibility and reducing confusion across machines. So the blade is now all one unit. So if you need to replace it, the whole thing gets replaced. That means you don't have to try to fiddle with inserting and removing sharp blades. So that's good, I guess. I don't really have to change my blade often at all, so we'll see. And the scoring tool now goes into the same spot, the same clamp as the blade on the Explore 5, which I'll be honest, I don't like much. I prefer the old way with the old scoring stylus like this, because you could have both the scoring stylus and the blade in at the same time, so no swapping. And unfortunately, the old stylus, the old scoring stylus, does not fit in the new Explore 5. Bummer. But if you're new, you won't notice this at all. It'll just work for you. But hey, at least we now have the ability to score on the Joy 2 now, and that's a big deal. And they did put scoring tools in the box for us on all the bundles, and I like that too. As long as we can score, and they include a scoring tool, I think it's fine. So after looking at these and making some real projects, here's what I'd tell you. The Joy 2 makes the most sense if you want something compact. You don't need a lot of variety in the things that you can cut, and you like making smaller projects, especially now that it can do print and cut and scoring. I would totally recommend this over the original Joy, no matter how cheap you can get that one. Okay, just as people always ask me this. The Explore 5 makes sense if you regularly work at the full 12-inch, or you need to be bigger than 4.5 inches, which is what this one will do. And you want the traditional full-size workflow, plus the ability to cut approximately 100 different materials. I also noticed that both were just slightly faster at cutting than their previous generation, but not dramatically. But still, I like getting things done faster. And I do like that they're both a little smaller because, you know, space is always an issue. No matter how much you have, it's always an issue. So my honest verdict is that I think that these are both overall better outside of the Explore 5 scoring tool having to go in the same spot. They're both really good level ups in the Cricut line, but I think the Joy 2 is the biggest upgrade simply because it now has print then cut and scoring, which it was really lacking before, so it made the most change. And for the price, it's really hard to beat too. I mean, it's a really, really affordably priced machine. And we get more materials, more tools, and it's not more expensive. That is a smart move on Cricut's part. The only other thing that I don't really like so far, at least, is the color of the Explore 5. It's beige, and it reminds me of my computer from the 80s. I mean, I guess what's old is new again, but are we ready for 80s beige already? I'm not sure that I am. But at least there are some different colors available. Michael's has a teal color for both of the machines. And I think somewhere there might be a pink color coming for the Joy 2. I thought I saw it somewhere, but I'm not positive right now. I'm gonna look that one up and let you know. But if you already got a recent Cricut and it's doing everything you need, you don't need to upgrade just because something new came out. The machine is just a tool. What matters is what you make with it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I don't keep machines sent to me for review. I don't accept free stuff. I don't accept money to ever do reviews. So I'm going to be giving both of these away. Giveaway details are in the video description. Now, choose the machine based on what you actually make or want to make, not what's new. And you will avoid wasting money on features that you'll never use. But there's one problem that shows up right after you get a Cricut, especially if you're new. Most people will make one or two projects and then the machine ends up sitting on a shelf or worse, in a box. And if you don't handle that part correctly, it kills your creativity. In the next video, I'll show you exactly how to make your first project so you actually use your machine and build confidence fast. And if you're brand new, or if yours has been sitting unused, you want that. I linked it right here on the screen. Click it now, and I'll see you there.